This week, we take pictures while lava balls are flying by our face, tackle each other until our bones burst out of our skin, keep on rolling and a-writing, and discuss what it's like to run a friendly local game store without going crazy. This and much more on this episode of Rolling Doubles Podcast. Welcome to Rolling Doubles, a podcast about two board game enthusiasts who have never met and roll the dice on friendship. I'm Jacob. I totally forgot to think of something here. Russell.
And I'm a time traveler, Ryan Schneider.
Why are you a time traveler?
Because by the time you listen to this, I will have gone to PAX Unplugged 2018.
Ooh, and back. That's true.
And I will actually tell you, as a time traveler, my experience, it was good.
Oh, good.
It was good.
I'm excited to hear about your experience.
It was good. I can't tell any more than that, otherwise I will break the space-time continuum.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
That is a very easy thing to break, a very fragile existence, the space-time continuum, so that's good.
But I did bring something or someone with me from the space-time continuum.
What?
Yeah, I
Who?
did. I brought a very special guest. That special guest is K King from Level Up Games in the cities. From where I live, Minnesota. K, say hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Great.
So good.
How was the space-time travel with me to this podcast?
You know, it wasn't quite as comfortable as I thought it was going to be. You lied to me. It was not bigger on the inside of your spaceship.
I know.
Well, also, it's Ryan. He forces everyone to sit on his lap, so I get why it's a bit uncomfortable.
Well, I'm sorry, but I think time traveling is really cool, and board games are really cool, and you're really cool. We're really, really happy to have you on. For those that don't know, again, K King is the board game guru at Level Up Games, a local, friendly local gaming store that I attend to far too regularly. I'm basically, if I could hold shares in that company, I would probably do it because I love that store. I love all your stores.
Well, see, the good news, Ryan, is that we just got that cot installed in the back room for you, just like you asked. So
thank you.
Your room is almost ready.
Does he make people sit on his lap at the game store
No,
too?
God. No.
Okay, all right. Actually, I'm super excited you're here because I've always been interested in that side of the business, of game stores, how it works, how you try and support the community around you, and so I'm excited to get into that, but I don't want to talk about that right now because I want to talk about some board games. Actually, hold on. First, if we're talking about time travel, what are your top 3 time travel board games? Or side question, can we even name 3 time travel board games?
Yes. Time
probably.
Stories.
That was my number one. Oh, you thief.
Okay.
Time Stories.
There's a Doctor Who board game.
Tragedy Looper.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I owned it for 2 years and never played it, so I got rid of it. I've heard it's great, though.
No. See,
and Anachrony. Boom.
Oh, he got all of them. He's too good. It's like he's a pro or something.
I can tell you a game that hasn't been announced that we will get. Pandemic Legacy Season 3.
Time Travel Edition.
Time Travel Edition.
I like that.
Kay, talk to us about a game that you've been playing recently that you would like to share with us.
Oh, man. I am a horrible person. I am so addicted to the whole roll and write craze that's going on right now. And I've been playing the new game from Wolfgang Warsch. It's not even out in America yet. Like, don't even ask me how I got it, but I got my hands on it. It's called Brikks. It's basically Tetris, the roll and write game. And oh man, it's so good. It literally feels like Tetris. I am equally as horrible at this game as I am in real life Tetris. So all of the challenges of picking your pieces. But basically what happens is every player gets a board with it's like a grid board, and it's actually, if you look this up on Board Game Geek and you can see the sheets, it looks like an arcade cabinet, and it's just the coolest little roll and write sheet. Anyway, you have another sheet that's the back of the sheet with the arcade cabinet on it, and that has all of the little Tetris pieces in different positions. There's 4 columns, and they all have different colors. And what you're doing is you're rolling a d4 and then another die that has colors on it. And whatever the combination is, that's the piece that you have to place in the Tetris grid. And man, I like can't even tell you how much stress and yelling there is while this game is going on. Because you look at the person, you're like, why did you roll that? I don't even need that piece. And meanwhile, it fits perfectly on their board and they're just laughing at you. Or maybe it's just my friends who laugh at me when they get the pieces I need. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I hope it comes to America soon. I heard Stronghold Games picked it up, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that will be over here sometime early next year.
What's it called again?
Brikks. Brikks.
Oh, that's why. Because I just looked for bricks, and one game I got was called Sacco Bricks, and I don't think that was it.
No, that's definitely not it.
All right. That's good to know. Yeah, that sounds exciting. I think I really need to start getting into these roll and writes because they are all over the place now, and I think the only one I have is Age. Oh crap! What's that one about ancient times and you roll dice and it's like wheat? Hold on, it's in my closet.
I know what it is.
Here he goes.
Roll Through the Ages.
Hold on. Roll Through the Ages.
Yay!
But like the first one, there was the Iron Age. I don't have that one, but that one I actually super enjoy. But I'm sure there are better ones at this point because that's an older game at this point.
I love that one. I actually just played that like 2 weeks ago, so it's not that old. It's still really good.
It's great. I love it, and I'm sure I have others if I think about a roll and write.
Do you have Saint Malo is my oldest roll and write game? And
I've never even heard of that one.
Oh man, it's so good. I call it my bedroom game because literally you use the box to roll the dice in it, and the game comes with whiteboards and dry erase markers. So like out of the box, it's like all set to go, and like you have this city that you're drawing, and you have to like fight off pirates. Like it's really exciting, and you can usually get it on Amazon super cheap. Like it's out of print for everyone else. No one else can get it, but apparently Amazon has a secret stack of them somewhere in their warehouse.
Roll and Writes this year, I think Deepwater Games with Welcome To was like that hot roll and write that now it's like I feel like it's just been a really up and coming mechanism in games we've been seeing recently. Welcome to Dino World, I know recently hit Kickstarter, which is supposed to be a good roll and write too.
I have Welcome to Dino World. They were doing
you are the roll and write queen over here. Wow.
No, they were doing playtest samples on Facebook. They were asking for playtesters, and I volunteered my time. And
that's funny.
I got free copy. Basically, I printed out a copy, I laminated it, and now I have a copy. But please support on Kickstarter. Don't
Absolutely.
be
Well, dude, laminators are like the unsung heroes of the board game community, I think.
Man,
would you?
Okay, I was about to do this. I mean, so early on in my board game career, I was getting made fun of for sleeving my cards because most people I played with were not board gamers. I would force board games onto all my friends, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd have these sleeves over my cards, and then they would make fun of me, understandably, because that's kind of weird from their perspective. But then I was talking about laminating like the player sheets in Twilight Imperium or something like that, and then they wouldn't stop making fun of me, and I cried a little bit. So I'm just kidding. I didn't cry, guys. Jeez Louise.
I was dead serious. I have no idea.
The only time I've cried lately is that there was a Scrubs episode that I watched, and there's an Adam Sandler special on Netflix right now that also made me cry. Oh, we already talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, about a crying episode.
Oh,
I'm a man, dang it. I have no emotion. Anyway, that sounds fun. I'm excited to play that. I do want to get more into these. Well, Welcome To is fun. You've played that one, right, Ryan? I think we talked about that one point.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it's where basically you're flipping over cards, and then on your kind of mat, you have these different houses arranged like a neighborhood, and you name your neighborhood, and you kind of like highlight pools and put up fences and put numbers on houses. Yeah. And then you score based off of that. It's like 1 to 99 players it says it can do. So that was huge at Origins this year. That game was like sold out. Like it was a very sneaky hit. I hadn't heard about it. Everyone's like, get Welcome To, and then all of a sudden now they have the second Kickstarter doing really well.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's cool.
That game is so fantastic. I pre-ordered that game and picked it up at Origins. I was
Yeah.
on the ball for that one.
Wow.
But I went up to the designer and I told him, I love your game, but it wasn't portable enough for me. So I actually replaced the cards with dice because I have no life. I
Nice.
literally took like a D6 and then I drew little pictures of all of the symbols on the cards on these dice, and that's how I play Welcome to.
Oh, that's so smart.
Sell that idea immediately.
They were like, "That's really creative, but we can control the variables better with the cards." And I'm like,
Whatever.
"Sure, variables.
Whatever.
This is hard mode. I only play in expert mode."
It's just when it's them wanting to sound like designers, like they know what they're doing. We have to control the variables. Just kidding. I'm sure they're great.
Sweet. So that's
That's cool.
Bricks by Wolfgang Warsch. Not yet released in US of A.
No.
But apparently by Stronghold Games. Soon. In theory. That's
Hopefully.
awesome. All right, I played a game recently with my wife, who I did not think would like this game. We started playing Blitz Bowl by Games Workshop. So this is the simplified version of Blood Bowl, which I've always wanted to get into. I don't know why, but for the past like 2 years, I've looked at Blood Bowl and I see its draw and it looks big and beautiful and just great miniatures, and that idea of a sports game in board game format just sounded great. And I was even attracted to the idea of how complicated the game was, how there's like stat tables that you have to look at, and there's all this risk that you have to take, and it's just kind of all over the place and sloppy. It seems like it's just kind of this old style of designing games, and that's kind of what attracted me to it. But then I also heard games are super long, and you really have to have a dedicated place or dedicated people to play it with to actually make it worth it and not just play every once in a while. So that's why I've been going back and forth. But then Blitz Bowl came out, and I heard that it is a different game, but it's kind of made for the exact situation I was looking for, where I could play in an evening with my wife. Games take about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's a game that she actually likes, and this is not her kind of game. What it is ultimately is the board is the field or the pitch, and you have 5 or 6 players on your team, and they all have different stats and abilities, and these are represented on cards on your side of the table. So you can get other teams with different card sets, but then each player on your turn, you get 3 actions, and you can kind of choose what you want to do. And the miniatures, the players can do different things depending on their status. If they're knocked down, they have to stand up. If they're standing up, if they are stood up, but they aren't by anyone, if they're free, they can run, they can pass, they can do all these things. But if they're next to an opponent, then they are marked, and they can only do a few things. They can only like step away, or they can try and block, and that's where you're tackling and things like that. Now, to block someone with tackles, you roll a dice or 2 depending on your character, and depending on what rolls is what the result is on the tackle. Either you tackle them and you can't do any more actions, you tackle them and you can do more actions, you just kind of push them away a space, or you miss, something like that. And so there is still that kind of risk reward to this, but I just love how everything is simplified. And so you're just trying to get points by getting the football into an end zone, or the main way to get points is actually objectives that come out, and these are represented by cards. And these objectives kind of vary from completing a pass, making a touchdown, having 3 people within one space of your opponent's end zone, or just other things like that kind of reflect the state of the board at that moment. And when you collect those cards also give you special abilities, one-time abilities that you can play, like playing cards. Not like playing cards, but like they're cards you can play to give you a special ability for that action. So it's this really interesting back and forth, and it's extremely tactical. You are always responding to what's happening on the board, and it's not an easy game to get a touchdown. Like you really have to kind of think through it, and it can be very frustrating if the dice aren't rolling your way, or it can be really fun if they are, but there's a mix of that luck in it as well. But this game really exceeded my expectations. I was excited to play it. I knew it would kind of be what I was looking for from Blood Bowl. I don't think I want to play Blood Bowl anymore because this kind of fits that niche. I don't think I'd want to play this for another hour and a half or even another hour, even if it is different mechanics. But it was super fun. Now, is this a game that either of you have played or seen played around you?
Yeah, it's actually really popular at my store. Our manager Trent is a huge Warhammer fan, and he's always like, "Hey, you have to play all these games," and I'm like, "Does it have minis that I have to paint?" No, thank
Nah.
you.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
sounded really fun. I should
It
actually
is.
sit
It's
down.
great. It really like it's simple, and I've never painted a miniature in my life, and I have a ton of games with miniatures. Like I'm not a miniature gamer. The only Games Workshop games I have this Blitz, I have Blitzball, and I have Space Hulk. But those I'm not going to paint those. I got those for the gameplay. I would love to paint them. That sounds great. I'd rather just spend that time playing games personally. But I totally get how relaxing that would be to paint those miniatures. Now, this game I thought was a Barnes and Noble exclusive. Is that not true?
Blitzball?
Yeah.
No, I have it at my store.
Really?
Yeah,
Bunch of jerks at my game store. I called them and like, no, that's a Barnes and Noble exclusive.
sir.
So
Might
I
be
had
a
to go to Barnes
Utah
and Noble to
thing,
find
man.
it. Oh, I wonder if it's a Utah thing. That's a weird thing to be just Utah, though.
Right?
That is a shame that you can't get it because at Level Up we offer 15% off of all of our games, including Warhammer. So,
Bam.
that's like a little jab at you. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. We deserve it for
You need-
stupid ideas like
you need
Barnes
more
and Noble
reasons.
exclusives.
Yeah, you need more reasons to move to Minnesota. That's the truth of it.
That's like my mecca. Like I'm just gonna go there one day.
Bring the
Walk
family.
around Fantasy Flight 7 times. Do you have expansion teams for Blood Bowl or for Blitz Bowl, or is it just Blood Bowl expansions? So do you know anything about that?
I know that we have like the core box I've seen in the store, and we can
Mhm.
always order anything else because we get it shipped directly from the UK. It might take like a week to get to us, but yeah, that's definitely something you can order from us.
That's cool. Yeah, this game I definitely would love to grab a couple more teams for variety. It comes with cards for other teams, but not like a full set. I don't know. I'm actually a bit confused how the expansions work for this game. I think people who are more knowledgeable about Games Workshop and how they work, it would make more sense for them. Because I know like the teams that are in Blood Bowl work for Blitz Bowl if you have the right cards or something. Honestly, I haven't looked into it that much. I was just excited to play these. But it's great. Now, is this one that you'd want to play, Ryan?
No, because I
Why?
have Guild Ball.
I've heard good things
yeah.
about Guild Ball.
Yeah, I've heard Guild Ball. So this looks like to be more of a tile. So as I'm looking at the board, it's more of like the tile-based type of movement, while Guild Ball is much more your standard Warhammer, taking a ruler out, moving X amount of inches, and it's more freeformed. It's more, it isn't
that's-
gridded off. So
Yeah.
that's what that's what I'm probably going to try first before getting into Blitz Bowl. Now, it isn't to say that, again, if someone were to have it and ask me if I wanted to play it, absolutely. Like, I'm not going to turn something like that down, especially, like, and I'm not lying. There have been games that we've talked about in the past episodes that I've never played, and when they always come up in conversation or they're available, I absolutely try to jump on them because I want to be able to see if I can kind of mimic your type of experience with what you've done in that game. But in this case, Guild Ball is my jam right now, so
Yeah.
that would probably be more. It would be interesting to play Guild Ball, then play Blitz Ball, and see which one and compare.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows if that'll ever happen? it
Yeah,
won't.
that's true. That's true. I think one benefit for this one too is cost of entry. I think it's between like $30 and $40, which is completely worth it for what you get. So yeah, it's fun. I recommend it, but I do want to try Guild Ball because that freeform movement sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they've gotten a bad rap. But Steamforged Limited, right? Steamforge, who did Dark Souls, they've gotten a bad rap for their Dark Souls campaign, and basically their whole shtick is to take IPs and from video games like Resident Evil and what's their new one? Oh, Horizon, right? I think they're also doing Horizon. And make them into board games, and I know people have been pooping on them because of what happened with Dark Souls, but I mean, their quality when it comes to their miniatures and their games like are pretty good. I hopefully don't. I hopefully that doesn't like just because of what happened with Dark Souls doesn't mean that that company should receive a bad rap for something else. Is what I'm trying to
That's
get
true.
at. I think
Yeah,
but-
that makes sense. That's cool. That's Blitz. Oh, it's designed by James Hewitt and published by Games Workshop.
Yay!
Who I think James Hewitt did the original Blood Bowl. Man, I feel like I just made that up. I don't know. Fact check me, internet. I have no idea.
I'll
To the
find
Google
out.
machine.
To the Google machine.
No.
Oh,
He
yep.
did. Oh, Blood Bowl 2016 edition.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sweet.
He did the Hellboy the board game.
Oh,
The one
Oh,
that was
the
on
new one?
Kickstarter. Yep.
Nice.
And also Warhammer Quest Silver Tower.
ooh.
Yep.
That is
All
very
right.
prestigious credentials there.
Yeah.
This boy knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
All right, I'm excited to hear about this game.
Yeah.
Ryan.
The game that I want to be able to talk about is the recent Kickstarter delivered to all of your homes. And I mean literally everyone's home, because this was a really popular Kickstarter. It's Fireball Island, The Curse of Volkar. Yay.
Oh man, this game is so good.
This is a game by Restoration Games, widely, I think, just not criticized, but just acclaimed, widely acclaimed for just their work on taking old games that have been out of print for so long and basically restoring them and giving them a new coat of paint, bringing the mechanics a little bit up to date. For instance, Stop Thief was one of those that I think was never on my radar, and I gave it a shot and tried it, and it was pretty neat. They have like a little app thing for it. It's pretty cool. This is a Rob Davio company. J.R. Honeycutt also did some designing. There's actually a lot of designers for Fireball Island. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I know, again, Rob Davio had a piece in a J.R. Honeycutt also as well. And this game, I think, if you had played the old Fireball Island back in the day, I think this is definitely the 2018 lift that many people will remember and like. For those that don't know, this board game is a sight to behold. We talk about table presence in a board game, and Fireball Island has that in spades.
Mm-hmm.
When you get the box, it's huge, but like weighs like a feather. Like there's nothing to it. But I mean, this thing is huge. This is coffin box to the definition. And you unpack everything, and there are 3 trays. 2 trays go on the outside, and then one kind of goes on the middle that's lifted, and it creates Fireball Island. And it's really well done. Everything is marked pretty well. You have like the helipad. You have this great like plastic sculpt of Volkar at the top. You have like all these nice little notches to place all the treasure that goes around the island. You have the places where the ember balls go, where you can kind of like flick them off the island in hopes to, knock off an opponent of yours that is trying to collect treasure around the island, etc., etc. There's trees that actually kind of act as like little pinball flippers that can kind of navigate how the fireballs or the marbles will go down the island. All in all, you put this together, like it's just something that people walk by and they're like, "What the heck are you guys playing?" And then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's Fireball Island, sweet." The gist of this game is that, again, you are an adventurer coming onto this island. You're trying to collect treasure, and you're trying to reach certain locations on the island where you can take snapshots. And these snapshots are like a red snapshot, a blue snapshot, and a yellow snapshot, or a green. And at the same time, you're having your opponents do the same. And they are basically, what you're trying to do is sabotage your opponent at any point, whether that's like playing cards that allow you to tap little ember balls onto other people, you're actually shooting magma balls at your opponents, just all sorts of shenanigans is happening in this game. And movement used to be with a 6-sided die or a die of some sort. They now have changed to the cards that have multiple abilities. So the faster you go, the more that you can't stop on spaces to pick up treasure. But the slower you go, the more abilities or more things you can do during your turn. And that's kind of how the trade-off works. You also have item cards that allow you to do different things to your opponents. And that's really the whole game. It's a simple game. They didn't really want to try to make it super complex to kind of bring it up to hobby board game standards. This is really meant for people with nostalgia or a family-based game. I think they really hit the nose on that on the base game. However, if you go all in, which was like $140 in the Kickstarter, you get a wide variety of different expansions. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Bees being one of them, in which you have like little bee nests that are all over that have these little balls that can sting you. And better yet, they have a Crouching Tiger, which is like this plastic tiger that you can flick onto the island and basically try to hit your opponent. And if you do, it's like this hilarious like manglement of like the tiger hitting the dude and you're like flying down the river. It's just ridiculous, but it's just like, oh my gosh, like how freaking cute is that to be able to add this. They just add they even have another expansion that adds like a sunken pirate ship to it all. Like how crazy is that?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I regret not getting the. And so I got the 5th player expansion, but I didn't get the other 2. And after I played it once, I instantly regretted not getting the other 2.
Yeah, it's definitely for someone like us. Like I think kids, if you play it by themselves without an adult, I think they'll have a blast. I think for us who have been through the board game scene a lot, they're gonna play it once or twice and be like, okay, I kind of seen it, done it. These expansions definitely kind of give it the longevity I think it needs for someone like us. But yeah, kids will absolutely love it. I liked it. I've never played it, and I had a really fun, easy time. Like, even if you want to have a board game night with those that don't even really get into the board game scene all that much, just bring this bad boy out, and you're immediately up and running within like minutes. It's great.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I've only played this with my kids so far. I am very excited to play it with adults. I know I have some friends who would really enjoy it. And it worked with my 6-year-old. He super loved it. He was okay. And so what's fun is at the end, once someone triggers the end game with the helicopter coming back by having one of each color of snapshots, then everyone has 2 turns to get back there if they want their snapshots to count. And so there's kind of this almost like clank to an extent where if you're too deep in the island, you can't come back in time. A bulk of your points won't count. And my kid didn't make it back. He was like 2 spaces away.
Oh,
and
no.
I don't go easy. I don't go easy on my kid, right? Like if he needs to play by the rules, he was crying. He was lying on the couch crying, and I was like, "That's the rules, kid. Life sucks, and then you die." So,
ooh, no best dad mug for you under the Christmas tree.
not at all, not at all. But he loved it. He wants to play it again, so it's fine. He's fine. But this game was. It just exceeded my expectations. I have no history with this game. Like, I have no nostalgia towards the original.
Yep.
But they did just such a fantastic job. High quality production all around. I am super excited. I will find those expansions after they hit retail, because I think they'll add enough to it where we'll play it enough and warrant those expansions.
Yep.
Now, I played it with my 4-year-old as well, and he ends up just throwing marbles at people directly. So it didn't really work for him. I mean, still fun for him.
Like father, like son.
Yeah, exactly. But he ended up just being on my wife's team, so they played together. But it was a hit. Now, did you guys get copies of this K yet in your store?
Oh yeah, definitely. We have like a whole display of them.
Really?
Yeah, even the owner
awesome.
walked into the store today and he grabbed a copy. He said, "Oh man, my kids are gonna have so much fun playing with this today." And I'm like, "By kids, do you mean you and your wife?" And
yes, this is for my children.
yes, exactly.
Oh, that's funny. So, have you played it yet, Kay?
I have not played it yet. I saw a prototype at Gen Con and I got super excited. And I was going to back it on Kickstarter, but I like supporting my own game store. So
Yes.
I was going to buy it this Black Friday. But then again, I was like, I have to work Black Friday and there's going to be a lot of people who are super excited to get it home. So I'll just wait till the next shipment comes in. So that's going to be this week, later this week.
Yeah, it'll be well, I was gonna say it's reprinted, but I bet distributors have been kind of, were they piecemealing shipments out or what?
Oh yeah, definitely. We got a shipment before Black Friday, and we're supposed to get another shipment, I believe, tomorrow. We're supposed to get some more. So yeah, that's gonna be super exciting to get to the table.
Yeah.
Now, the expansions have not hit retail, right?
No, not yet. They're probably gonna take, I want to say either closer to Christmas, if not early next year, to kind of refresh the game for people who played it over Christmas. So
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, off topic a tad bit, sort of. J.R. Honeycutt gives great hugs. Just saying.
I've heard this. I've
Yes.
heard this when they were doing that media sweep, taking around that prototype copy. I've heard that before.
Yeah, we did. We embraced at Origins. It was good.
He
We
does
had
look
two
very
good hugs.
squishy. I'm gonna have to test that.
We had a yeah. There was talks about having like a hug off where there would be like competition, or at least I think there was one. In any case, we had it. We hugged because we met at Origins. He's a really nice guy. Also, interestingly enough, again a little bit off topic, but I submitted a board game design back in January, and he was one of the people that actually reviewed my game back in the day.
Oh,
Wow.
so
Yeah, I just actually uncovered that because it was an email sitting in my inbox. I read it, kind of instantly got depressed because there was a lot of bad things that were said and a lot of bad feedback, but J.R. Honeycutt was one that actually has some really good constructive criticism. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You should let me play test your games.
I would. I was actually going to yesterday, and then I got really tired and ended up not going. Also, you didn't go yesterday either, did you?
No, I didn't go.
Yeah.
I was at home feeling a little under the weather myself. So
Yeah. It's like it's all ready to go. It's I'm actually bringing it to PAX Unplugged, and we'll probably talk about that for another episode. But I'm really excited. There's a game design. It's on Tabletop Simulator. We have a physical prototype that was made. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's actually shaping up to be pretty nice.
wait, are you going to Protospiel? I'm going to be a Protospiel.
Oh yeah,
Are
I'll
you?
definitely be at Protospiel.
Oh, fantastic!
Yes.
I'm excited.
Protospiel, for those that don't know, is an event that's actually run throughout the country where people bring their prototypes and people play them, give feedback. I did it this January. It was fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Anyways,
Anyway, that's Fireball Island.
Fireball Island. Totally off topic, but that's Fireball Island by Restoration Games. Okay, I asked you a couple weeks ago, like, now thinking back on it, it seems kind of silly because it was literally like 2 weeks before Black Friday. I'm like, do you want to come on a podcast? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said yes, because again, we've kind of crossed paths, throughout the years as I have stumbled into your store, and I'm like, I'm not going to spend anything. I'm just going to look. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why do I have $150 in a bag right now? I blacked out, and that's it.
I'll take the blame for that. I'm
Right?
notorious for
And-
stocking good games.
Yeah, so I when it's always coming to guests, you definitely came to mind, just because again you are so knowledgeable about games. You are in the convention scene, and you play a lot of games, and so I really am glad that again you can come on and you can talk about them with us, because that's what we love to do. So I think really just to get kind of started off, Kay, is just how did you come about with board games? Like, when did it all get started for you? Was it when you were a wee one, a young tiny person, or was it recently? Regale us.
Of course, I'm actually quite flattered that you guys asked me. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm only sorry that I haven't heard your podcast before, but I'm a fan now. I'm converted. This is going really well.
Yes.
We finally have a listener.
Woo! We do.
You can add one.
And we got t-shirts. This is all coming up Millhouse right now.
Oh man, this is awesome. Actually, I got started way back in the day. My boyfriend at the time, we wanted to get into D&D, and we were like, so where do people get D&D books? Like, I have no idea. So we were like, Barnes and Nobles, and one of our friends came up to us and goes, you're going to Barnes and Nobles? Why don't you just go to the source? You can get everything there. And I'm like, what's the source? And they're like, you don't know what the source is? And my luck happened to be that we showed up on a day where they were having an event, like it was like Customer Appreciation Week or something, and they had blocked off the entire weekend just for tabletop games. So like I literally spent the entire weekend going to the store that I just discovered, and I was instantly in love. The very first game I ever played was Munchkin.
Ooh, wow.
I know.
That's a good one.
I literally bought like everything Munchkin. I still have all of my Munchkin. It's sitting in a box that's really tattered, like one of those white generic Magic boxes. And they're all in there. They're all in order. I haven't touched it in years, but I cannot bring myself to part with it because it was like it was the first thing I ever played. It's my baby. So,
Yeah, I get it.
yeah, that's how I got into gaming. And throughout the years, I've been passionate about what the gaming community brings to all of us, how it's a wonderful social aspect that, anyone from any walk of life can get into. And, you just see a random person walking or just milling about a game store. And I'm just like, don't just stand around, participate. And
Yeah.
I'm what I like to call aggressively friendly.
I like it. I like
If I
it.
see someone, I'm just like, we are best friends now, and you're gonna play this game with me, whether you want to or not. So,
So, so what are your responsibilities right now with the game store? What's your main role?
right now, I'm basically like a board game. I don't know, like a tastemaker. No, not a tastemaker. That's the
Guru.
wrong. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm the guru. Like basically, I study the games so that I know them, so that I can impart my knowledge onto the customers and onto my employees. I also do market research to see what games the community is excited about. There's just so much that's involved in it. It's literally my lifeblood at this point. Or I spend hours of the day researching board games.
Hey, so do we. That sounds like a great job. Okay, so are you ultimately the final say on what games you guys order and bring into the store?
Yeah, I even log into the system. I put in all the numbers and everything. The owner puts through the orders just because we're a huge store. We have 3 locations now, so there's stuff that we need to add
Whoa.
for all of the stores. But mostly the game orders are what I handle. Just
Okay.
all.
So, a thing right now with publishers is, or just in general, with any sort of retail, is trying to get shelf space and demand the customer's attention.
Mhm.
What games are you finding right now are doing that the best?
Man, the one company that's just hitting it out of the ballpark left and right is Plan B Games. I literally
Mm-hmm.
have ordered every single game that they've come out with, and not a one of them has disappointed me yet. And if you guys aren't familiar, that's the company that makes games like Azul, Century Spice Roads, Reef, and they have such beautiful art on the boxes. It just attracts people immediately, but the gameplay is super solid with all their games, and they're the kind of games that are easy to teach, but difficult to master. So you can
Hmm.
definitely get down and teach it in about 5 to 10 minutes, and before the night is done, you'll have an instant board game fan. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, Plan
love
B
those
is
games.
excellent. Yeah.
Okay, now on the other side, um, what games are kind of not doing as well as you thought they would do, or are just kind of staying on your shelf and not moving as much as you thought?
Um, Surprisingly enough, like Kickstarter stuff. We have
Uh-huh.
It's getting to the point now, believe it or not, that actually it's not just the game stores and just general people who are backing Kickstarter. I'm noticing our distributors are actually backing Kickstarter. It's a way for them to guarantee that they have the games available for their retail
Hmm.
stores, because you have all these retailers who, well, the game companies who go on Kickstarter might sometimes have a retailer pledge, but by the time the retailers get around to doing the research that they need to find out about the games, it's from customers who have missed the Kickstarter and were hoping that their game store had backed it, only to realize that they missed it. So the distributors are just cutting that middleman out and just saying, hey, we're going to back hundreds of copies of this game and have it available in our warehouse. So at the same time that the other backers are getting their copies, you can have it available for your retail
Hmm.
store, which is
Nice.
awesome for us. But, sometimes with Kickstarter games, it's so hit or miss. The hype is really strong while the Kickstarter is live. And then sometimes you get the people who really want to jump on that hype train and buy it immediately, and other games that just kind of sit there because, oh, some new conspiracy theory opened up against that particular game company, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden everyone is backing out. So yeah, unfortunately, Kickstarter games, they're still a gamble. They're still a really huge
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
gamble.
really Did you ever sell that copy of Who Goes There?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
sold during Black Friday, and
Okay.
that one surprised because we did really well with the Thing. There's a lot of the Thing fans at our store, so I thought it would just fly off the shelves, but it was still there until Black Friday.
Yeah, the thing has actually had a distribution to half price games of all places. It was really weird.
Hmm.
Like they have like new in shrink copies of the Thing Outpost 31 or whatever it's called. I
Hmm.
actually bought the Thing at your store. And then I saw Who Goes There, which is like the Thing done with like super minis and like kind of a more
Yeah,
board and stuff like that. And
yeah, it's like
it
the
was on the
fan
shelf for,
made version.
yeah. So it's like I was so,
That's the short story that the thing is based on, right?
Yes,
maybe I'm not
I think so.
it's a short story, and then they made a movie about it in the '80s, and it has like a huge cult following. So
yeah.
That's right. Okay.
yeah.
So okay, so one thing that I'm kind of curious about, Kay, is that when game stores so there's a huge, I think, what should I say? Like I think there's a lot of people that want to be able to open up their own board game store, and when you talk about board game stores, it's all about that Magic the Gathering is the backbone of board game stores. So how has Level Up kind of whether embrace that, or how did they kind of come to the point where they are at today? So like they do have three stores in our South St. Paul, Egan, and I think what is it, Minneapolis?
Yep, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
We purchased Mead Hall Games earlier last year, so they are now part of the Level Up family. So yeah, if you try to find a Level Up in Minneapolis, you're looking for Mead Hall.
You're right. Yep, I've been to both. It's like it reminds me of an old time like. So it's weird because they're like in a downstairs. You have to like from street level. You have to walk down some stairs. Reminds me of like an old tavern, like you
Oh
would
yeah.
experience in because there's like old wood floors. You're like underneath, in like it's like a basement level, and it's like if it had the right lighting, it would have been like
Oh, you should go
like
now because we're in the middle of remodeling and adding a couple of surprises that I am not allowed to discuss.
nice.
But yeah, we're in the process of remodeling, so we're adding new fixtures. We knocked down a wall. Yeah,
Oh,
it's gonna be gorgeous when we're done. But with like everything, it takes time. So hopefully we'll have another huge grand opening for it, and we'll unveil the new shiny mead hall sometime soon.
nice.
So,
Um,
but yes, we got so sidetracked. Forgot what
yeah,
you
I know.
were
I was
saying.
gonna be like, so Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
like again, that probably still plays a key role with FLGS, right?
Yes, definitely. I feel like Magic is that game that's just never going to go away because it's so ingrained in the community. I feel that before people even recognize that board games are a thing, you can tell them, "Oh, I play Magic," and they'll know instantly what you're talking about, even if they themselves don't play or they're not too familiar with the rules of the game. So in that sense, it is a huge part of our community, and that's something that we embrace and level up. We try to support all aspects of the gaming community, and Magic has been a great support and a great source for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we still do great with board games. Board games are definitely in second place to Magic.
Sure.
Um, but we hold our own. I work really hard to make sure that we have a great selection and that the shelves are up to date and current, and that we're carrying popular titles and engaging our customers. So it's about getting the word out there. I feel like the more events that we have, and the more people in the community that we reach out to, the better the outlook on board games. But it's still a small hobby. It's big to us because we're in it, but it's still a fairly small
Yeah,
hobby in the
that's
scheme of
true.
things.
Yeah, it's true. I think it is easy to kind of get lost in the scope when you're actually in the hobby itself. What are you guys doing to kind of compete with online retailers? And I know that's talked about a lot, but how are stores surviving in this time frame with online retailers?
Um, Honestly, the best that we can do is we offer our own discounts. We do 15% off of MSRP, which with MAP pricing, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's
Oh
minimum
yeah.
advertising advertised pricing that
Hmm.
most game companies enforce on us. That's about the lowest that we can go at this
Yeah.
time. So it's just, we provide that personal touch, and I feel like it's all about the community that we build around ourselves. We are
Hmm.
level up community through gaming. So it's just, I like being able to give people the advice that they need right away. Because sure, you can go on Amazon and you can buy that awesome game you've been looking at for a couple of bucks cheaper. But if you come to an FLGS, which is a friendly local game store, you get to talk to someone who's actually played the game and can give you insight. And sometimes people come in for one thing, and I might end up talking them into something completely different that they've
Yeah.
never even heard of, that they enjoy far more. And I have yet to have a dissatisfied customer.
That's awesome.
Case in point, me.
You.
Me.
I
I'm
guess.
pretty confident it's probably me that you're referencing in there, because it's more it's so, well, it's like, it's so weird. I've been thinking about it. Like when I go out, it's like every single time it's like a schedule, right? So it's like I'll make the drive to South St. Paul, and then I'll like hit up the stores, and it's always Level Up that I go to. And then, yeah, sometimes I run into UK, and I know we've talked about like just what's been out recent, cool, and hip and stuff like that. I end up always getting into the hype, because that's what these games are, is just like the
Hmm.
hype machine behind it, right? Like Welcome to back at Origins, which we talked about earlier. Like there was a hype machine in that they ran out of copies before like even the vendors. So like there was a wait. There were people who were vendors at Origins had to wait in line even to get Welcome to before even the people who came in could get it. Like how nuts is that?
Whoa.
That just talks about, I think, how great a game is when you have something like that, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that's interesting. So there's that discount, which I think is huge. For me, all my game stores around me are still just full MSRP, and that's when I have a hard time really understanding why I need to purchase from them. I don't. They're great people. They're super nice. They don't really know a lot about the board games that they keep in stock, because they are also um, supported by Magic players as well, right? Like that's kind of what their focus is with some board games. And maybe I just don't have like a fantastic local game store around me, so I'm kind of not bitter about it, but just not like infatuated with a game store around me. But when I got into board games, this was in 2012, there was a game store around me that did offer that same discount, right? Like
Mhm.
they were significantly cheaper than all the other game stores around me. But then they went out of business. And so I just wasn't sure if that was like a sustainable market or strategy doing that. But it sounds like it's working for you guys, especially if you guys are opening up other stores. So I just don't know what that connection is between having that discount and still being able to sustain yourself. What are you guys trying to do to kind of either uh, balance off that discount? Is it only Magic? Are there other things that you're kind of offering to your customers at this point, or is it basically just Magic?
Um, it's kind of hard to explain. I feel like, in all honesty, it is a quite difficult industry to stay afloat in, just because every single
Mm-hmm.
day there's new game stores opening up even around us. People are getting into the whole gaming world, and as we grow as a hobby, people are starting to see the value in it. Like, I don't know if you guys heard this, but even Asmodee, which is this huge
Oh my
gaming company,
gosh.
they just got
Yes.
bought recently for $1.4 billion.
Yeah.
B
It's
with a
amazing.
B.
Yeah.
So, people are definitely taking notice, and they're out there trying to make it in this world. And we're, you know, what we do that I feel everybody does, but I feel like we do it better because, come on, guys, it's me. Um,
That's right.
we engage our customers. We know them by name. We know, I have customers that I literally know their play style, what they like, what their favorite designer is, and as soon as I hear even the slightest whisper of a game, I'm messaging them or emailing them, hey, this hot thing is coming out. You want that hot thing?
Yeah.
I got it for you. So,
That's
I'm
interesting.
I make it my
I
life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's great. I think that's what I've missed in a game store around me. I don't think I've had that experience. And there's game stores where I've been in a bunch of times, and I have purchased things from them. Right, like I'm not just going in and looking at games and then leaving and buying them somewhere else. Where that does happen sometimes, I do purchase games from them, and I think that's the magic touch right there, is that influence you have and the understanding of your customers. That makes sense.
Okay, I actually kind of want to turn it over to you as a board game player. For me, there is I've come throughout my board game career now following designers and what they're putting out and stuff like that, or themes that gets me interested and excited in board games. So for you as a board game player, for you personally, what are the types of things that you look out for, whether it's different illustrators like Kwanchai Moria, different designers like Michael Wallace, or publishers who are putting out games like, Fantasy Flight, Asmodee, Days of Wonder, etc. Like, what are the key things that immediately kind of pique your interest in being like, okay, this is something I got to check out, to this is like a not a prey one, a day one, like kickstart, back, pre-order, etc. Like, I want to know what kind of alludes you to what gets you interested into a board game.
oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought up Kwanchai because I love every single thing that he does.
He's good.
I am such a fangirl. I literally just ran up to Kwanchai at Gen Con and just screamed his name from halfway across the hall, which was hilarious because he just froze in the spot and was like, do I know you? And I'm like, you do now. But man, I have to say, art is definitely key. I am such a visual person. I'm actually a visual learner. Like, I need to like see the game, play the game, feel the pieces. But yes, if it looks beautiful, I am definitely in 100%. Or even if any game by some of my favorite designers, Uwe Rosenberg, Stefan Feld,
Yep.
I am so over that. Emerson Matsuchi, who, yeah, I'm
Yes.
all over those guys. So if I even hear a whisper about them working on a prototype or anything, I don't care what it is. I am looking it up on Board Game Geek. I am fanning it immediately, subscribing to the feed. Anything that comes up, I will see it immediately. So, yes. But firstly, art. If it looks pretty, I am gunning for you.
Um. So yes, you yelled at Kwanchai Moria across the the dealer hall at Gen Con. Talk to us about Gen Con this year. And I know you've gone to many different types of conventions, but like, how's your experience at a convention? Because you do say that you do invest a lot of time and effort into always keeping up to date with board games. So is it to you, is Gen Con kind of slightly work related, or do you just go for personal reasons, or can you usually intermix the two? Because sometimes, especially for this podcast and for what I'm doing, it almost seems like doing work for board games, designing this podcast, it's fun and it doesn't ever feel like work.
Um, let's see. I do a little bit of both. Sometimes I get a dealer badge and I go to the panels and all those lovely fun things that they set up. Last year, Gen Con, I feel like their panels are more focused on retailers who really have no clue what's going on.
Mm.
Sort of like, oh, you're just getting into gaming. Well, these are board games, and this is how you can market them, and this is how you can sell them. And um, I was hoping more for like sneak previews and super awesome things, and we got a few of those things, but very few companies signed up for that just because it's another thing that they have to hire people for and manage time for. So in that sense, it's not that great from a retailer perspective. But I've gone now to Gen Con twice as just a regular patron, and I feel like that is where you really get your value out of a convention because you're sitting at the tables, you're playing with the people, you're talking to the designers who are milling about, and it's such you really get the excitement that your customers would experience. So being in that sort of environment is what really invigorates me. That's what where I just jive. So I do love that perspective of the convention scene, being in it.
Um, so kind of a two-parter question. So, being to Gen Con, I know you've been to Origins. In the last couple of years, is there kind of like a convention that stands out to you personally that you've just kind of, if you could kind of grade them, and you don't have to, but like if there was one that really specifically stood out for you, what would be that convention that stood out for you?
I want to say that I went to Origins this last year was my first year going, and it is my new favorite convention.
Mm-hmm.
It is the hype is real. It is so convenient, and it feels like Gen Con, but it isn't super crowded like Gen
Yep.
Con.
Yep.
And it was so amazing. I got to actually sit down and play full games of demos, not just like, okay, you saw the 5 minutes, this is how it works. Now I need you to move because there's 30 people behind you, and we need to get this line going. No, I mean, it was fantastic. Like, I took pictures with Eric Lang, and he like
Yep.
sat down and talked to me. I was just like, is this real life, or am I
Is
just
this real
living in a
life?
fantasy? Like, it was amazing, and it's just everyone's so wonderful, and it's so personable, and like the hallways aren't super crowded. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice. I even like this year the most crowded booth was of course Plan B Games because they were releasing
Yep.
Coimbra and the new
Yep.
Century and Reef, and I kid you not, it was maybe a 10-minute wait for a demo at their booth.
Yeah.
That's how quickly they were
Wow.
rotating people, and you were playing the full game. But it was very, very nice to be able to feel like, oh my gosh, I can take everything in and I'm not being rushed around by a crowd. So,
Yeah.
yes, if you guys get a chance, you have to go to Origins. It is amazing.
Yeah, and I'll echo that sentiment because I was at Origins and very similarly I was like, so having gone to Gen Con before and experienced the craziness, going to Gen Con, or excuse me, going to Origins and have it be a Saturday where it's normally the busiest just because people don't have work, it still, the dealer hall felt like you weren't scrunched up together. There was nice space between booths. There was the only one thing is that the free play area was maybe a tad bit lacking. There was like there was a pass that you could buy that got you access to like a library and tables that I think is not. There's maybe something at Gen Con where you could do that, but many of the big players are there. You said Eric Lang. I also, again, I got to meet Eric Lang. Not at, it was like 2:30 in the morning. It was really weird. That's a story for another episode. But Emerson Matsuchi, I got to meet him. I talked with him. The
Sweetest
nicest
guy.
sweetest guy. Oh my god, like we're friends on Facebook now. This is the weirdest thing. Like again,
You
asking myself
too.
asking the question like is this real life? Like this guy who has put out Spectre Ops, the Century games, like these are really awesome, like consider them gateway games, and I'm talking to the man who's did it, and he's just like really caring about like taking the time out of his day, out of his demos to like have this really one-on-one nice conversation with me. It's like this is what I like about the community so much that I love it more than it's like the best non-living thing I could love, right? I love my wife, I love my dog. They're my top priorities. I love my family, and then board games comes, and then Jacob, and then
I
everything
like that.
else.
I appreciate that.
Right?
That's good.
So
you gotta
yeah.
mention.
Anyways, yeah. So that's I'm really glad you said that. That's really cool.
I really need to get to a convention.
What?
I've never been to one.
What?
I know. Am I a real board gamer? I don't know. I did our local one as a
There's-
demoer for CMON once.
Wait, there's
Uh,
SaltCon though. Have you been to SaltCon?
Yeah, it's at Salcon, but still, it's only like 1,200 people. Like, it's not a huge one,
No,
and
it's
that's
a
when I
big
demoed at. Oh, was that big? I
I
don't
think
know.
so. Yeah. I mean, SaltCon's good.
Yeah, and so I demoed at Salcon for CMON once, and it was fun. I don't want to play games with people I don't know. I'm a grump. I'm just an old grumpy man. I
Oh,
think
man.
that's what it is. I know. I need to let go. I need to just open myself up and
Let
just
it go. Okay, I didn't do that. That didn't happen.
Oh no, that's staying in. I'm just gonna put that on repeat over and over again. That's my new
Oh,
ringtone, baby.
oh man, what did I do to myself?
No, it's true though. I understand the power. I understand like the effect they have on our community, and I think I just need to go and support that and change my attitude, like, and just support it and just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so a question for you then: have you found that working in the industry has diluted your passion for board gaming, or has it made it better, or is it the same?
Oh man. I think it's actually made it like 10 million times stronger.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
because usually when you're in an industry or when you're in this hobby, you get a little starstruck. I get a little starstruck. Maybe it's just me, guys. Maybe I just like
Oh
completely
no,
blank out.
no.
But
I have
No, I get it.
I have a Facebook album of all the people that I met and took. Like, it's weird too because yeah. Like, I don't think some people expect it. And
yeah.
they're just like, "You want to have a picture with me?" Like, I like, and they're like, "Okay," they're excited. It's just like, it's very weird, but
Oh,
you
that's
know,
awesome. But yeah, I think it's so much better just because I have a little bit of an in. Being with an FLGS, I at the very least, if my fangirl brain completely blanks out on me, I can go, "Oh, so I'd like to carry your games in my store. What can you tell me about them?" And that'll carry me to the point where like then
Ooh,
I feel comfortable speaking to them. So yeah,
clever.
but it's so awesome. And then you get invited to all the secret parties. I'm not going to talk about that too
mm-hmm.
much, but um no, it's just
Oh, there's secret
I love it.
parties.
I love it. This is one of those times where like, you peek behind the curtain and it's actually a wonderland of adventure instead of just some grumpy old man pulling some levers. But
That's me.
it's a lot of fun.
It's Jacob.
That's me. I'm that grumpy old man.
Okay. I think we're an hour into the podcast, and I don't even think we asked you what your favorite board game is.
Oh man, I get asked this so many times. I literally at one point I just came up with a random list of nonsense, but I can tell you that my favorite game of all time, which by the way, I haven't won in about 5 years, is Bruges. If you've ever heard of it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Is
Uh,
it a Z? I want to say it's either TMG or Z-Man
It's
or one of
Z-Man
those.
Games. It's a
Yes.
Z-Man
Okay.
Games, and it just
Hmm.
has this bright orange box, and it's a beautiful game about the city of Bruges, and it has my favorite mechanic in games, which is multi-use cards. You can
Hmm.
use the cards either to build a canal, or get money, or build a house, or the cards themselves have a different ability printed on them that you can use. So you kind of have to decide how you're going to use the card every turn. And I feel like as many times as I've played that game, I don't feel like I've seen every single card yet because sometimes
Mm.
you're so focused on, I need money right now. I don't even care what this card does. And you just like trash it just to get a bunch of cash so you can do everything else you want to do. So I still love that game. It gets played very often at my house.
What's your most hated game?
Oh, oh, why would you do this to me?
What is it? What's the
I
game you hate so much but are forced to still stock?
I hate pandemic.
Oh, what?
I
That's
Oh,
great.
hate
that's
it.
really.
I
So
know.
you
I
must
am
really
so
hate the
bad.
10-year anniversary edition that's coming
Oh
out.
man.
Here's my key phrase to you is if you were gonna play a game with me, never let me shuffle the cards. Oh my god. Pandemic is a prime example of how bad I am at shuffling because sure enough, as soon as we have to shuffle that city back into the deck, if someone hands that deck to me, that city
Uh,
is coming out again. And I just, if I'm gonna get my butt handed to me, I would much rather actually play The Cure than Pandemic because then I can
Mhm.
just blame my suckage on the random roll of a dice and not just like me being really bad at shuffling cards. But yeah, I know I cannot play Pandemic. It's so harsh. I don't think I've ever won a
I
game of Pandemic.
I played it once like 6 years ago, and I have never had a desire to play it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm the same way. So it's not you're not alone in this.
Good solidarity.
Solidarity.
I like Pandemic. I'm looking forward to the 10th edition, but the expansions don't interest me at all. I could play probably core Pandemic until I die. Of
Really?
Pandemic.
I actually do have Pandemic Legacy. I'm excited to try that because I love legacy games. I still have my copy sealed. That's because my game group right now, we're playing through Gloomhaven, we're playing through Rise of Queensdale, my Scythe. I mean, I'm full of legacy games right now, but someday I will play Pandemic Legacy. It will be done.
Yeah. I love legacy games. I know I'm the same way. Like, I have the Rise of Fenris waiting for me. That's our next one. We played through Mechs vs. Minions, which is that was alright.
Gasp.
And
Audible.
wait, what?
I said audible gasp. Mechs vs. Minion is awesome.
It was fun. Okay, here's the hard thing I had with Mechs vs. Minions. I hated that I had to reset and start new every single game, and you had to like build up to it. I don't know why that just kind of bugged me. Where to the point where like everyone in my game group kind of felt the same way without really telling everyone, or like saying it out loud until I brought it up, because they didn't want to like influence us with thinking the same way. But I don't know. I think it was fun. We somehow played through the whole thing, but I don't know. I may be the only one who feels that way. It was fun.
I mean, I felt this. I mean, I got through 3 or 4 scenarios. I didn't feel like resetting was everything, but it didn't have the punch for me that I think a lot of other reviewers had. And that's just a personal thing. I think it was a great game. I think it piddled out a little bit quicker than other people. That's just me though.
Charterstone is fun. I started that. Well, it's been like 5-6 months since we've played that one, but that's when we started with a 6-player game with some friends.
That one is so divisive, but I love Charterstone.
Oh, it's so good. Like, and all of us like it too because it's pretty light. Like, it's for my friends who aren't in my game group, but we still play games with each other on weekends. Now, it's been a long time because my wife got pregnant and then we had a kid. Then we just kind of fell off the face of the earth with our friends. But it's time to get back into it now. That's what I'm excited to get back into. Things like Imperial Assault have fantastic campaigns. I'm excited for that. I tried Risk Legacy, but then I realized I hated Risk. So after the first game, I just opened everything up and looked at it and then threw it all away.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm a grumpy old man. This is what I'm learning more and more about board games. Is I just become grumpier and grumpier.
And the only thing I heard was that, man, I could have used all those little pieces in other games. What's wrong?
Yeah.
I probably still have those. I think I just chucked the cardboard.
Okay.
I was gonna say your nickname for next episode should be Jacob Grumpy Man Russell.
I like it. I'll just say that for like the next 5.
Because you're just grumpy. I refuse to come up with a new middle name, Russell.
just
get more and more like sad each time, or more and more angry.
Jacob,
each
the
time.
world is a waste of time, Russell.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll just get more
Jacob,
and more happy.
Nothing matters, and we all die at some point, Russell.
Oh man,
this is going great, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Really
this is fantastic.
Yeah. How'd you get?
So we are in the midst, as you made mention, of the holiday season. Black Friday was last Friday. And so what would you recommend as far as maybe a couple recommendations for people coming into the store? They're like, beady-eyed and trying to figure out like, hey, I like board games. I want to get away from the life, the game of life, your Saris, your Monopolies. They're coming in, they're like, hey, what can you provide to me? What are some good kind of entry-level gateway games that you can recommend from your store, from your own personal experience for those types of gamers? And then maybe to us as the more hobbyist gamers, like what are some games coming out in this holiday season that you could recommend for those wanting to, for those different types of like skill levels or like hobbyists?
I'd have to say if you have family members who have only played Monopoly and the game of life, that sort of thing, my favorite entry-level game has got to be No Thanks. Even though they just reprinted it and changed the name for the American release, it's now called Take 5. It's called oh, what did they? No, they renamed it. It's in a box called Take Five, and it's actually the games inside are Six Nimt and No Thanks. They're bundled together now.
Oh, sure.
Oh, interesting.
And if you haven't played No Thanks, it's super simple. You basically have a deck of cards. It's numbered 1 through 33. And what you do is you shuffle the cards together. You take 9 cards and you put them back in the box. No one knows what they are. Then one by one, you're going to be revealing the cards to the table, and people are going to be bidding whether they want the card or they don't want the card by playing these chips on the card. And if you take the card, they're worth points, but you don't want points. The thing that makes No Thanks a fantastic game is that if you get a run of cards, then you only score the lowest card in the run. So let's say if you had a 16, 17, 18, then instead of having all of those points, you only have 16 points. And that's where it gets tricky, because like people will look at a card and go, oh, you need it, and I can totally take this away from you, but I don't want that many points, so no thanks, you take it. And
nice.
It's a
that game is great.
Great entry level game for families. Otherwise, if you are more of a midweight, moving people on from Catan, I think is the next level up from there. My recommendation would be Century, Spice Road, or even Eastern Wonders, because the hexes will remind those Catan players of that. But it's the kind of game that I can literally teach to my customers in 2 minutes. I love it. I have like this little spiel. I go up to people and I show them the back of the box, and while I'm holding the back of the box, I will explain to them how to play the game in 2 minutes or under, depending on which one I have in stock.
As you take their credit card and have them pay for it as you're so and put it in the bag and have a nice day.
Exactly. So that one is fantastic for midweight gamers. And then for the super heavy gamers, what can I recommend that's... Oh man, I'm still really into games like A Feast for Odin, but then again, I like everything that Uwe puts out. So
I need to try that still.
oh, it's such a lovely media game with so many different options, and I feel like it's one of those games where you can take multiple different strategies and still have a fantastic time. I feel like viticulture also falls under that category.
I love that game.
Yes, viticulture is like, it's surprisingly good. People think, they look at the theme and they're like, oh, making wine? Why would I want to make wine? And for the first time ever, guys, I confess, I actually witnessed somebody do the no wine strategy. It happened last weekend at our store, and I was like, no sane person would ever play viticulture and not make wine. And my friend did it, and she won. And she won. So buy for the vineyard. Don't make the wine.
It's funny you say where you're like, wait, making wine is a theme for a board game, and then you say there are multiple games where you can make wine, and then people's minds just explode.
Yes, Vinos is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's that
Vital Lacerna.
Thank you. Because I was thinking Ian O'Toole, who illustrated it or designed it, and then they always work together on that. So
yeah, I love his games, like starting with Kanban and the Gallerist, and I want to try his others. I really do. I did back Escape Plan, and I'm excited for his Mars one.
Oh,
that
on
one
Mars
sounds great.
Be so dope.
On Mars,
So
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I can really get into them that much because they're so heavy, and my brain just kind of feels like it's going to explode after each time. Yeah. But that's, man, I love those games.
I kind of want to keep on that note, because we have all the different types of profiles, but for UK, as again, just your personal board gamer with your types, like, what are the games, like just a couple that have got you really excited, whether it be on Kickstarter, or coming out that you know of that you're super excited to want to get on the table, to play, to purchase? On that similar note, well, never mind. I'll let you answer that question. I have a very quick follow-up question to that as well, too.
Oh, I have so many. Like, just last week, I got Terraforming Mars Colonies, and I am just dying to get that to the table. It's been crazy weekend for me, so I unfortunately haven't been able to play it yet. So I'm super excited to get that. I am what you would call a hopeless Kickstarter addict. So I'm a super backer. Yay me!
Yeah.
Nice.
And I've been getting Kickstarters left and right. I got the new. Oh my gosh, literally the name escaped my brain. It's the new like detective game and the with
Chronicles
the
of
VR.
Crime.
Yes, Chronicles of Crime. I just
Chronicles
got
of
that
Crime.
in and I'm excited to play that.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to just in a couple of weeks here the new expansion for Gloomhaven, Forgotten Circles, and
Yeah.
there's really like no end to the board game excitement. There's just I'm looking through like the BGG hotness right now and going, yup, Blackout Hong Kong. I can't wait for
Yep,
that
Blackout.
one to come out. I can't wait for Underwater Cities. I just got Newton last week. Like
Oh,
my
Newton, I want to play that so much.
oh man, my wall of shame is literally the size of other people's collections at this point. So
That's great.
it's pretty bad.
Do you know when Blackout Hong Kong's gonna see a U.S. release?
Oh, darn it. Why did you have to ask me the difficult questions? I know I just saw it come up the other day on my. Oh no, I'm not on my laptop. I'd have to look that up for you. I think
That's
I got a
fine.
date.
Yeah, like what you said. Like I've tempted to pick up Chronicles of Crime, because it's interesting. So Jacob and I a few episodes ago talked about how digital devices have been impacting our analog board game scene, and we were like, there really hasn't been one since so Fantasy Flight did XCOM, they did the Imperial Assault campaigns. Like you're seeing campaigns run these types of things. Mansions of Madness. I think Chronicles of Crime is like the first like out there board game in stores that you're literally like in a board game crime scene, like literally VR, right? I think that's like one of the more major applications of, I think, a digital device that I've seen in a while.
Oh, World of Yoho, I think maybe gets pushed to the wayside, but they had a little not VR as much, but augmented reality thing going on with the app. But yeah, it's crazy what they're doing with, and it's I know that people are going to argue, well, is it more of an app than it is a game? I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's fun, and I get to play it with my friends. Can I count that?
Right.
Wait. Oh, and I also thought Mask of Anubis. That was one that's another VR game. Have you ever heard about that one? Yeah, that one's awesome.
Yeah, like it's like a maze, and you're trying to tell the person in the VR thing where to go, right?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah. Again, it's there's that. So like Nancy Narking got up for Pledge Manager along with Title Blades.
I kicked one of those. I'll let you guess which one.
Title Blades.
No,
Really?
Nancy Narking. You know why? Because I am a huge fan of Discworld, and I'm never gonna get my hands on that game. It's like ridiculously expensive for collectors. So once I heard that Nancy Narking was a remake of that game, I was like, oh, I gotta have it. I gotta. So there's that.
Sense.
And hey guys, you know what's the other super awesome perk about being a retailer and having all that background data is when you log into your distributor's website and they tell you when games are coming out. like Blackout Hong Kong due December 2018.
Boongo. Bungo.
Well,
Bingo.
Bungo. There, that's now new bingo for me. I'm just gonna go bungo, everybody.
I was like booyah and bingo and bungo.
Bungo.
Booyah. You know, to me, that's like the weirdest Midwestern phase because I grew up in the East Coast, and when I found out that churches were having booyahs, I'm like, what? They're just like...
Wait, what? I've never even heard what you're talking about, but that's really funny.
You don't know what a booyah is? Oh my god.
No, I just...
You need
I'm
to
gonna
regale
Google that later.
No, you have to tell Jacob right now what a booyah is.
Okay, so a booyah is basically like an all-day stew, and these churches here have like booyah parties where you have different families that come together and they have like their own recipe of like this all-day stew, and they'll do like bowls of it, and they'll do tastings, or like you'll come in and you can pay to like sample a bit of each, but then they'll also like pre-package some of it for you to go take it home. And I was just like,
What?
is that where the phrase booyah came from? Did someone just get like really upset at a church function and just throw a bowl of face and like,
Booyah.
booyah, Margaret, in your face?
Stupid Margaret.
It just became
That's
like
really
this
good.
total hip hop
Oh, man.
scene.
I'm really
phrase.
hungry. That makes me want to go eat something now. That sounds
Yeah.
really good.
I do. Okay, don't they make booyah like in like huge containers? I almost want to say like trash cans.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. It's literally
think they do.
you can fit a baby and its dog inside one of those things. They're giant.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
massive.
people are eating babies and dogs in booyah?
Yeah, sure. That's exactly the kind of thing
Sure,
we need
it's
to
a thing.
propagate right now.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Officially,
all
this
right.
podcast has gone off rails, everybody.
Yeah, I think we're winding this one down.
Yeah, this one is in the books.
Next time you reopen the podcast, booyah and board games. That's all we cover.
Booyah on board games. Sit on down as we rag on Margaret.
Yep. We each go to a local church, save the booyah until we start the podcast, give a quick review, and then start.
Yes.
Oh, that's really
games.
funny.
Anyways, we are. I think we're.
Yeah,
we're good.
I feel good.
This is awesome. Kay, can you please tell us again your local stores and where ones within the Minnesota state can go?
Oh, fantastic. So we have 3 stores. We have Level Up Games in South St. Paul, Minnesota. We have Level Up Games in Eagan. And we also have Mead Hall in Minneapolis. If you ever want to run into me, you have a better chance of doing that here at the South St. Paul location, where I am quite frequently for all of our gaming events, which we have multiple. We have Monday night game night. We have Level Up Ladies every other Sunday. We have a regular Friday tournament that we do. So yeah, you can usually run into me at Level Up Games.
Awesome.
You have a website. I think it's levelupgamesmn.com.
That is correct. We also have a Facebook, a Twitter. We're all over the social media.
All over the place. What about for you? Did you want to share any social media outlets if those that want to follow your musings can go and find you?
Definitely. I am Level Up K at both Facebook and Instagram, even though it's spelled differently. I can only get LVLUPKAY. On some things.
Close enough.
Yeah, exactly. So Level Up K on both of those platforms. We also have a Facebook group called Level Up Board Gamers, and I post all of the hot new stuff. As soon as I find about it, I post it all on Facebook so our customers can get excited about it.
Yeah, I'm part of that group, and what's really nice of what you've done, truly, is that whenever anything new comes in, you post a picture, just throw it up on there, and I'm able to just immediately check out that new release table and see what you got, and more often than not, just mosey my way on down there. I'm serious. Like, it is actually a really nice thing to be able to see that, because it's like, I don't want to necessarily have to call and ask, because then it's kind of a crapshoot if you get someone that knows or someone that doesn't. And then I just think it's a really... I wish... If other stores do this, awesome, but I think Level Up is really the only store I know that does it for me personally. I don't know. It's great. It's good. Yeah. There you go.
Lightning round questions. Are you ready?
Yes, lightning round.
As ready as I'm
This
going
has
to be.
nothing to do with board games, so I'm just going to start asking you questions. There'll be an either or, and you just have to choose one.
Okay, I can do this.
NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Oh, Backstreet Boys.
Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
Christina Aguilera.
Barney or... Crap.
Fred
Who are the-
Flintstone?
Tiddlywinks. Not Tiddlywinks.
Teletubbies.
Teletubbies.
Teletubbies
Botched
for
that one.
life.
Okay. That's all I got. That Tiddlywinks really messed me up.
SpongeBob or My Little Ponies?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. The
That broke
creator
my
just
heart.
passed
I
away.
know.
SpongeBob.
Why would you bring that up?
Yeah.
Sad. Too soon, Ryan.
Too soon.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm a time traveler. It's been a long time.
Look at that, full circle. This has been a
circle.
treat. Thank you, Kay, so much for chatting with us. It's great to get this perspective, and it's just really interesting to get that point of view of the hobby. Is there anything else, any other words of wisdom you would like to leave us with?
Always make time to play your games because they're just lonely on your shelves gathering dust.
And when you're
Amen.
gone, they turn into real life objects like Toy Story.
I do write my name on all of my board games, so maybe.
At the bottom.
Right at the bottom.
We've got a game in me. Sorry, I'm done. This is it. Okay, everyone, have a great night. Oh, find us on social media.
Yes.
Just look for us and we're there.
Yes. Just conceptualize. There goes my battery pack that I've been playing with. Rolling Doubles on social media. Roll Doubles at Twitter. Rolling Doubles on Instagram. Rolling Doubles Podcast on Facebook. RollingDoublesPodcast.com is our website. You can find all the links to all of our social media stuff there. Again, on YouTube, we do all of our segments. Please we post them on Board Game Geek now. We're just everywhere. If you search us now, we're big with the Googs. So,
Gross.
All
right.
I said
everyone,
Googs, not Boogs.
No, I know what you said. It's still gross. All right.
Oh, okay.
Ryan, we have to go back to the future. Thanks for listening. Music intro is See Vous Play by Fantastic Plastic Machine, and music bumpers were created by myself using Apple Loops and GarageBand for iOS. Join us next week for even more giant chair squeaks in another exciting episode of Rolling Doubles Podcast.